and in living color from the Radio What Studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability, get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know, I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Let me entertain you. This week's shows, as I'm recording this on Thursday, I don't have a show at the Cedar Lounge tonight. They're doing some, I guess, fall cleaning, some heavy cleaning for the next week or so until next Wednesday. So they'll be doing some cleaning at the Cedar Lounge, making sure that place is nice and prim and pretty for all of the good people that come and visit the Cedar Lounge Bar and Grill in Morrilton, Arkansas. They've assured me that they'll be opened up next Wednesday. So that means next Thursday night, not today, but next Thursday night, I'll be doing the karaoke video dance party at the Cedar Lounge Bar and Grill in Morrilton, Arkansas. But, you know, tomorrow night is the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That is my regular Friday night gig. I've been doing that one for years. Yeah, I said it, for years. Is that like a northern accent? Was that kind of a northern accent? I like to keep my radio voice very middle of the road. You know, the middle American that a lot of broadcasters like to use is not a real accent anywhere. It's not regional to anything. I don't know where it came from, but that is the accent that people want. They don't want to sound Southern. They don't want to sound Northern, way Northern, like New England. I guess that would be almost British. You know, they want to sound middle American, you know, no discernible accent. But sometimes it comes out, you know, sometimes it does. So my regular Friday night gig, back to the Rab on Friday night from 8 p.m. until 1 a.m. Full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday night. So if you want to try to make some money playing pool, you can do so at the Rab. Now, wear a mask on the way in. When you're interacting with people, wear a mask. While you're walking around, wear a mask. But while you're sitting down having your drinky drinks and having some of that good food that's in the kitchen there, then you could pull that little mask down so you can get at your eating hole. Yeah, sure. Always a good time at the Rab. Friday nights. So come and visit with me tomorrow night. And then Saturday, I got a wedding. The only reason I mention that is because weddings are back, baby. So unless you're invited, you cannot come. It is a private party. Nope, you cannot be my assistant. I've had that. I've been asked that so many times. Oh, you're going to a wedding on Saturday? Can I be your assistant? Can I carry your equipment? No, you cannot. It's pretty much a one-man show most of the time. My goodness. But I've had that question so many times. And at the end of the night, invariably, hey, can I help you load your equipment into your van? No. Do you know how my stuff goes? No. I've been looking for a roadie since 86. Nobody knows how this stuff fits into my van. It fits one way and one way only, or at least this is the way that I'm doing it. I'm sure it fits other ways, but sure, the load in and the load out, it's I've got it pretty much optimized for most events. How about that? But that's a little bit about, being a DJ, being an entertainer, if you will. I'm sure musicians go through the same thing. Where they get offered, hey, you need me to help you with your expensive drum kit or that guitar that cost you $1,000? No, I do not. I will load my stuff in and load my stuff out. I'm sure the bigger bands, they pay these guys to the roadies to load it properly, and they get to know each other over the years. I was a one-time roadie. When I was in college, there was a band called the Ultraviolet that came through. And I can't remember. I go crazy when I'm without you. Hey, I haven't thought about them in years. I remember I helped them set up their equipment back in '86. Yeah, that's the 1900s, kids. Back in 1986, I helped them load up their equipment, set it up on stage. Did I know what I was doing? No, not really. I mean, I had set my own equipment up by then. I was already a working DJ when I was in college, but I wasn't really good at setting up other people's equipment, especially people that I didn't know. But they were a traveling band that came through to Broward College back in 1986. Man, I haven't thought about them in years. I'm going to have to look them up. The Ultraviolet. I think the name of their song was I Go Crazy When I'm Without You. I had their record, and I've lost it over the years. I wish I still had that album. I remember that song was pretty catchy. I don't know if it ever made it big, but it was pretty catchy. There's a lot of talented musicians out there is what I'm really getting at. And who knows, man? Are they going to make it? Are they going to not make it? Some people, you wonder, how come they haven't made it? Hey, Megan Renee Hudson, good to see you. And then, oh, very cool. Oh, Megan Renee is going to be at the wedding. That's great. Yeah, you do know those people. What does he mean by those people? So yes, I'm excited. I'm excited about the wedding. Weddings are back, baby. Yeah, party on. It's going to be a karaoke wedding too, so I'm kind of stoked about that. All right, I guess I could talk to you about what's going on. The whole reason that I'm here on this What Makes You Smarter podcast is to fill my head with knowledge, keep up with current events. So if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, November 5th, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Biden closer to victory with projected wins in Michigan, Wisconsin. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden was projected the winner in Michigan and Wisconsin on Tuesday, flipping two states that President Trump won in 2016. The victories widened the former vice president's lead over Trump. Biden also led in Nevada and Arizona, whose 17 electoral votes would give Biden the 270 needed to take the White House. Quote, I'm not here to declare that we've won, end quote, said Biden alongside his running mate, Senator Kamala Harris, Democrat, California, in his home state of Delaware. Quote, but I am here to report that when the count is finished, we believe we will be the winners, end quote. Trump falsely asserted election fraud and declared falsely that he was the winner in Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina, all of which remained undecided. Trump's campaign called for a recount in Wisconsin, where Biden led by just over 20,000 votes out of 3.2 million. This is according to Reuters and the Washington Post. Number 2, new coronavirus cases exceed 100,000 in one day for first time. The number of new coronavirus cases in the United States surpassed 100,000 in a single day for the first time on Wednesday. The Washington Post reported that the total for the day reached 104,004 new infections, while the New York Times said its database indicated that there were 107,800. The record came as the pandemic surged across the Midwest and Plains states. 5 states, Maine, Minnesota, Indiana, Nebraska, and Colorado, set records for the most new cases in a single day. 7 states reported record hospitalizations for COVID-19. Deaths, which lag behind spiking infections, have gone up by 21% nationwide in the past 2 weeks. More than 1,100 fatalities were reported Wednesday, bringing the U.S. death toll to more than 233,000. This is according to the New York Times and the Washington Post. Number 3, Trump campaign sues to block Pennsylvania's extended vote count. President Trump's campaign on Wednesday asked the Supreme Court to overturn a Pennsylvania state Supreme Court ruling letting election officials count mail-in ballots received up to 3 days after the Tuesday's election. The U.S. High Court last week allowed the deadline to stand, but suggested it might revisit the matter if Pennsylvania's results prove crucial. Quote, "That time has come," end quote, Trump's campaign said in the filing. Quote, "Given last night's results, the vote in Pennsylvania may well determine the next president of the United States," end quote. Ballots received after the polls closed were to be separated in case of a court challenge. Pennsylvania's officials defended their process. Quote, "Pennsylvania is going to count every vote and make sure that everyone has their voice heard," end quote. Governor Tom Wolf, a Democrat, said in a statement. This is according to USA Today. Number 4, Susan Collins wins 5th Senate term. Republican Senator Susan Collins, Republican Maine, was projected to win a 5th Senate term on Wednesday, fighting off a challenge from Democratic nominee Sarah Gideon. Collins was one of several Republicans considered vulnerable in Tuesday's election, in part because of a backlash over her vote to confirm Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Justice Collins' victory all but closed the window on Democrats' chance to seize a majority in the Senate. Collins said more than 17 hours after the polls closed that she had, quote, "received a very gracious call," end quote, from Gideon conceding the race. Collins trailed in the polls for much of the campaign, but closed the gap in the days before the election. She had 51% of the vote compared to Gideon's 42.4%, with 85% of the ballots in. The campaign was the most expensive in the state's history. This is according to The Hill. Number 5, markets surge as investors predict Washington gridlock. U.S. stocks soared on Wednesday as investors apparently expected Tuesday's mixed elections to result in the kind of gridlock in Washington that often lifts markets by making major policy changes impossible. The presidential election remained too close to call, but Democrats appeared to have retained control of the House, with Republicans nearly certain to hold on to a narrow Senate majority. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose by 368 points, or 1.3%, down from a session-high gain of more than 800 points. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ closed up by 2.2% and 3.9%, respectively. The S&P 500 has now risen 3 straight days and won back all of its 5.6% loss last week. Futures rose further early Thursday. This is according to USA Today and CNBC. Number 6, USPS says it did what it could to comply with order to find ballots. The U.S. Postal Service argued on Wednesday in a legal filing that it essentially complied with a judge's order to search for misplaced absentee ballots in battleground states, despite saying late Tuesday it would disregard the judge's specific demands. U.S. District Judge Emmett G. Sullivan for the District of Columbia ordered a search after the USPS said about 300,000 ballots nationwide had received entry scans at mail processing facilities, but not exit scans. Sullivan ordered checks and heightened supervision at facilities in 15 states. Experts have said USPS should be able to process 97% of incoming ballots, but processing scores fell to 89.6% on November 2nd. In the new filing, USPS said, quote, "The inspection service was not able to conduct specific sweeps," end quote, as requested, but that measures in place already, quote, "provided assurance that the relevant plants had sufficient oversight," end quote, to ensure ballots were expedited. This is according to the Washington Post and Politico. Number 7, Italy, England impose new lockdowns as pandemic surges in Europe. Italy joined England in imposing new lockdowns to fight new waves of coronavirus infections. Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte announced the country's most drastic measures since a national lockdown in March. Starting Friday, the new restrictions will affect much of Italy, including northern regions that are the main drivers of the country's economy. Quote, "The situation is particularly critical, end quote, Conte said at a news conference. England will impose its second lockdown starting Thursday. The two nations are among several using new restrictions to curb surging infections across Europe. Poland is shutting down schools and stores. Lithuania is imposing a full lockdown, and France is extending a state of emergency until February. This is according to the New York Times. Number 8, Peters projected to hang on in Michigan's Senate race. Democratic Senator Gary Peters of Michigan has narrowly won re-election, NBC News and Politico projected Wednesday. The first-time incumbent was seen as one of the most vulnerable Democrats heading into Tuesday's vote. His Republican challenger, businessman and veteran John James, mounted a strong challenge in what became one of the most expensive Senate races in the state's history. But hours after NBC projected Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden as the winner of the state's 16 electoral votes, the network reported that Peters had edged out James, who had appeared to be in the lead on election night. The result, with 98% of the expected vote tallied, was 49.7% for Peters and 48.4% for James. Quote, to all who believed in us, gave your time and effort in our fight, thank you for putting your trust in me, end quote, Peters said. This is according to NBC News and Politico. Number 9, blue wave failed to materialize in state legislatures. Democrats' hope of a, quote, blue wave, end quote, in states' elections failed to materialize, with the lowest number of state legislatures changing hands since 1946. The National Conference of State Legislatures said Wednesday Democrats went into the election hoping to regain control of state houses that Republicans had controlled for years. But by Wednesday, with results still not final, it appeared that only 4 chambers were likely to see a shift in control, including New Hampshire's House and Senate, which Republicans seized back from Democrats. In Arizona, where Democrats made a push to win majorities in the state House and Senate for the first time in decades, Republicans gained in key races as counting continued Wednesday, making a flip less likely. Quote, this is crazy in that almost nothing has changed, end quote, said Tim Story, an expert with the NCSL. This is according to the New York Times and Arizona Republic. Number 10, 11 arrested in Portland, 50 in New York City amid post-election protests. Portland police arrested 11 people and seized fireworks, hammers, and a rifle on Wednesday after a post-election protest broke out. Quote, all of the gatherings that were declared riots were downtown, end quote, a Portland police spokesman told Reuters. There were no reports of injuries. Oregon Governor Kate Brown, Democrat, activated the National Guard in response to the protests. New York police arrested about 50 people as protests spread in the city on Wednesday. Small, peaceful demonstrations by supporters of Democratic nominee Joe Biden were reported in other cities on the night after President Trump prematurely declared victory despite trailing in the electoral and popular votes. Trump has called for halting vote counts in remaining states where he leads, but Biden is gaining. This is according to Reuters. That's 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, November 5th, 2020. Thank you so much for listening. I see Clinton Stanley's out there watching. The delirious dad's gaming guy himself. Thanks for being out there. Thanks for paying attention and putting up with my stumbling as I stumble through these news items. The What Makes You Smarter podcast. I've been using this mostly to keep up with current events, fill my head with knowledge. And if you like the sound of my voice or the look of my face, yeah, you can follow along with me, but please don't make me the only source of news. I encourage you to check all the footnotes that I leave at the bottom of every news item, all 10 of the news items. Crazy times. And the election it's making it even crazier. 2020, the year of clarity. Yeah, that's what we all thought in 2019. And in 2015, hey, where are you going to be in 5 years? Nope, you're wrong. You're probably wrong, unless you were some kind of an infectious disease expert, and you thought that maybe you'd be taking care of infectious diseases. Well, you were right then. You were right. But for most of us, where are you going to be in 5 years? Wrong. You are so wrong. All right. Hey, you know what I like is talking to people and learning from people. So if you'd like to tell your story or promote yourself, that's what, sometimes the What Makes You Famous podcast gets used for promotion, but mostly I try to get stories out of people. A lot of people from all walks of life. No matter what you do, you have a story. From the time you're born, you start to collect information and have memories made. And so those stories start to form in your head, and I like to hear them come out of your mouth and get on the What Makes You Famous podcast. Yeah, tell your story. If you want to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out that podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Also, if you want to watch me stream online, kind of like the Delirious Dads do, Clinton Stanley's the one that inspired me to play video games online again. Well, I guess I had been playing them around the turn of the millennium. I was playing Free Space and Mech Warrior, but I don't know if they were online. They were on my PC. But the streaming thing, that's pretty brand new. It's maybe a couple or 3 months old, where I'm doing the online gaming hashtag Keys Dan Gaming. So you could find me on Twitch and Facebook Gaming if you want to watch me play video games. I don't want to watch you play video games. What? Really? You're too old for that. Am I? Am I too old for that? Maybe you can give me some pointers or let me know what I should be playing. All right, that's it for me. I'll probably start playing some video games just a little bit. It's Keys Dan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace.